Absolicon Solar Collector is a stock-listed company that has been founded to change the energy supply of the world. And we have developed the world's best small parabolic trough for industries and district heating. Absolicon focus on large solar thermal fields for industries and district heating. And we have the Solar Key Mark certification that guarantees with a third-party certification that our collectors has the performance that we promised. We produce the solar collector in a robotized production lines that makes it possible to regionalize the production according to the needs of the market. Our primary product is the Absolicon T160 that provides heat and steam to industries and can provide heat to district heating networks. When it comes to generating heat, solar thermal is so much more efficient than running photovoltaic and then an electric boiler. For a certain area of land, we can produce 5 times more energy than if it's used for making electricity first and then heat. But the photovoltaic business have had such an enormous subsidies, both for production in China, but also on the markets in EU. So the prices have dropped very quickly. Still, solar thermal is a better business even without this massive support during 2 decades. Once policy acknowledges the value of solar thermal will be an important complement in the energy system to provide the heat for district heating and industries where land is scarce. I think that the heat on light industry and district heating has for a long time been underestimated. But now we see that there are new initiatives from the European Union and from also the member countries to promote both district heating and decarbonization in light industry like food and beverage. And the most recent example is the Innovation Fund's heat auction, where €1 billion were distributed in auction form around Europe. Policy need to acknowledge that heat is half of the energy consumption. And not only heat then for steel and cement industry, but heat for buildings and light industry. And we see how dependent we are on natural gas in those sectors that can easily be provided heat from solar thermal instead. I think that this is now underway with several of the new EU directives taking heat and solar heat into consideration when they are implemented. But I also think that the heat auction and the more specific calls that address the heat need of society are important. Well, now we are down here at Absolicon's production line, where we use those large ABB robots to mass produce our solar concentrators. As we have this concept of a localized, robotized production line, we try to source the material locally where the solar collectors are manufactured. And 60 to 70% of all the material can be provided by local subcontractors. Then we have special optical materials with the glass, the reflector and the pipe that Absolicon takes care of and produce with selected suppliers that can be in China or in Europe or in US. So this is a challenge for us in the sourcing. Absolicon is built on the fact that if we're going to replace fossil fuel, there is an enormous amount of equipment that is needed. And the only way to mass produce this solar thermal equipment is by using automated robotized production lines. So this is the basis of the Absolicon concept, where we can deploy those robotized production lines around the world to quickly scale up mass production of solar concentrators. The production lines is built with this concept of poka-yoke, where it should not be possible to mount the component the wrong way. And thanks to the robots, we can get very high precision, even with personnel who have a shorter training. Still, having people working the production line who has a basic industrial experience is important, and it takes several months to become a good operator. When it comes to installing the systems, there is a big need of people who know how to do the calculations and the simulations on how a solar thermal system is integrated to an industry. And we see this as a big bottleneck in the future when many industries need to change their fossil fuel to solar thermal. The skills that are hardest to find is the theoretical knowledge of how to do the calculations around a solar field to make it fit together with an industry. There are many different ways that solar thermal can integrate in an industry, with steam, with hot water, directly in the processes. And this is an area where more people need to be trained to learn how to do this. We are very proud to have the Solar Key Mark certification, which is a quality mark that guarantees that our product will survive for many, many years and can handle both snow, wind, overheating. And we are proud to have achieved excellent results in the Solar Key Mark certification. In the US, we have the SRCC certification that is parallel to the Solar Key Mark but adopted for North American standards. At Absolicon, we have built our own material lab with ovens and climate chamber to be able to check that all the materials will survive at least 25 years. Actually, we don't see any degradation of the materials during our tests, and we believe that the solar concentrators will work for many decades after the 25 years that they are tested for. Absolicon is R&D company still. We are having a lot of projects in the European Union horizon, and we are also working continuously to improve the system. The actual solar collector is one thing, but building a system that will maintain for decades and decades with very low operational and maintenance costs and safe tracking and safe overheating systems, that is a challenge that we are still developing and getting better and better at. The role of solar thermal in the energy transition has been clearly spelled out by the International Energy Agency and by IRENA. We need hundreds of millions of systems like Absolicon's collectors to replace the fossil fuel if we are going to manage the climate targets. Together with all the other technologies that are needed like photovoltaic, wind power, biogas, solar thermal is one of the sectors who has been not supported in this transition. And without solar thermal, those plans of IEA and IRENA will not materialize, and we will not manage the climate goals. We've been waiting a long time for the politicians to understand the challenges in the heat sector. And I think that what the Innovation Fund now did with the heat auction is the first sign on how serious the challenges are when you're trying to burn less gas and switch to renewable energy. It's been an confident view on how quick the electrification of light industry and district heating can happen. But we see now that the grids are not strong enough and the renewable electricity growth is not as quick as one hoped. So using solar thermal to provide the heat for district heating and light industry is the obvious way to go. And to do this, we need a strong political leadership with support like the heat auction, but also different regulations in EU directives to create this market and make it grow. I think we have seen the start of it now, and I'm looking forward to the coming years where those policies are rolled out.